The Brothers helping civilians for safety during the World War II is deeply rooted in LaSalle's core values faith, service, and communion. We should honor the massacre victims by standing our ground on justice and fighting for what we know is right. It is also important that justice becomes one of our guides in making decisions as LaSallians with virtue guided decision making.
And on DLSU grounds, we must reflect on what happened before. It was during the war with the Japanese, but this is not a memorial of shame or to blame, but to show the damage and the cruelties of war, and to remember our people. They took shelter under the sturdy roofs of DLSU from the bombing. The brothers prayed and guided our people even during their last breaths to soothe them. To honor them, we must be a lifelong learner to never repeat these cruel mistakes. We must be virtuous with our actions, and we must decide on actions that will not harm people but instead help the
Honoring
majority.
the memory of those Italian brothers who perished during the Japanese occupation goes beyond by just remembering. Instead, we are being called to action to reaffirm our identity and what it truly means to be a Lasallian. We uphold their core values by reflecting on their sacrifices and ensuring that they are neither forgotten nor in vain. Just as they exhibit faith under fire reminds us of their resilience, we embody zeal for service by using our platforms to advocate for truth and historical awareness. We recognize the impact of war and violence beyond what is being taught in the classroom, carrying forward their legacy through meaningful dialogue and action. As Lasallians, we honor the fallen by living out our Lasallian mission, by committing ourselves to a life of faith, service, and justice, just like what the brothers did.
As Lasallians, we honor the memory of those who perished in the De La Salle College massacre by embodying the values of faith, service, and communion in mission. We strive to promote justice and peace, ensuring that such tragedies are not forgotten nor repeated. Throughout education and reflection, we deepen our understanding of history and its impact on our present and future. By serving others, especially the marginalized, we continue the mission of building a society rooted in compassion and truth. Their sacrifice calls us to live with integrity, solidarity, and a commitment to the dignity of every person.
As a Lasallian, we could honor the memory of those who died in the massacre at De La Salle College by applying the Lasallian core values, which are the spirit of faith, zeal for service, and communion in mission. We can apply the spirit of faith by offering prayers for the soul of those who died and praying for those who were affected by this. We can also apply our zeal for service by volunteering in advocacy activities that will continue to help those who are affected or even those who are in need. Lastly, we can apply communion in mission by engaging in events or activities that bring together the Lasallian community to honor those who lost their lives. Also, the massacre is part of De La Salle's history, and reflecting on it together as a community can help us strengthen our bonds with one another. Through this, it can ensure that the legacy of those who died is shared and never forgotten.
As a Lasallian, I was deeply inspired knowing that the many faculty of DLSU at that time still continued to do their mission of teaching the students and even provided shelter for many families, despite the situation that they are in. That is why I believe that the best way to honor them is by continuing to uphold the values that they have set for us, such as the spirit of faith, zeal for service, and communion in mission. We must also follow their example and become critical thinkers, virtue guided and service driven citizens, and lifelong learners.